class, even ours is a name. I'm staking my claim. Street smart edge with a touch of heart. Luso grit's the show where the hustle sparks. Luso grit, fight through the fire. Dreams don't sleep when you're climbing higher. Portuguese roots with the world in sight. Immigrant hustle, we shining bright.
All right. Today we have Louie. I live on a farm in Portugal in the house. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Nah, not too bad myself. Yeah. I'm probably doing better than you guys there because you guys went through something pretty devastating recently.
We had 4, 5, I should say, major depressions here back to back, dude. Like I'm talking about hurricane-style winds, hurricane-style rains, flooding, roofs getting torn off people's homes. Very bad, very devastating.
Let's get into that in a little bit. Let me just I know you guys have a pretty big platform. I'm building this. I'm trying to share the Portuguese community throughout the diaspora. You guys are a unique situation because you're part of the diaspora. Now you moved back to Portugal. So, it's a nice perspective. Where did you grow up and where were you born and so on?
So I was born in the United States. I was born in a Portuguese community in a state called Massachusetts, which a lot of Portuguese people know what that is. I'm sure you do too. And I was born in a small city called Fall River. And it's a beautiful city. And the older I get, the more I love and the more I miss Fall River, Massachusetts. Fall River's great. It's got a ton of Portuguese. And it's especially got a ton of Açorian Portuguese there. Not as many mainlanders as you would have Aspirations in Viva Fall River and New Bedford too, you know what I'm saying? So that place holds dear to my heart. And later on in life, I joined the military and I ended up moving to Virginia. So I stayed there pretty much my whole military career. I did have a short stint in Tennessee. And then I moved back to Massachusetts for about a year. Moved back to Virginia, and then I said, "This is my last stop before I move to Portugal." And then my wife and I moved to Portugal.
So even within the States, you've also traveled a bit. You have a lot of experience, not just from one place.
I would think so. I'm a 44-year-old man. I've done a couple of things in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. But so your parents were born back home, right?
That's correct, bro. So my mom. Go ahead. Sorry, bro.
No, literally, that's what I was going to ask, where they were born, yeah.
My mother is from mainland Portugal. She's from Videira. She's from the Alentejo. And yeah, dude. And my dad is from São Miguel do Sul. So he's a lot more brute, my father.
Yeah, I know.
It's so funny, dude, because when I grew up around a lot of Açorians, a lot of us, we all spoke the same, right? We all spoke the same. I never realized how different my accent was from a regular mainland Portuguese accent. It took me moving here to people be like, "Wow, you sound completely different than us," So my dad has a heavy, São Miguel accent, and I picked that up from him in my life.
Right.
So
well, you're interesting because you have everything about you is an accent almost. Because even your English, you have that Boston accent, So it's cool.
Thanks, bro. That's very true. That thing's followed me my whole life. I didn't even realize I had it. I didn't realize I had such a heavy northern accent until I went to the military. When I joined before I went to the military, I remember working out at Workout World in Fall River, right? And I was telling some dude I was going to boot camp, and he's like, "You'll see, when you leave this city, you're going to see you have an accent, bro." And I was like, "No, we have accents?" Oh, man, dude, Northerners have accents, especially Boston area, heavy accent.
But like you were saying earlier, though, it is true. It's not only true to America; it's true to Canada too. In the whole of the Americas, I would say I couldn't guarantee it, but from what my personal experience, everyone I meet here, I would say maybe close to 80% of the Portuguese are from the islands because it makes sense. They're in the middle of the ocean, so they travel this way. While most of the Portuguese mainlanders end up going to Europe because it's closer to home or so on. They're in France. Paris has 1 million of them. They're in Belgium, they're in Switzerland, Luxembourg is half Portuguese, So I guess, but it is true. When I came here, I noticed that too.
I didn't realize it before. You're right about Luxembourg. There's a ton of Portuguese there, and I didn't realize that until I moved here. So that's a place the Portuguese migrate over to as well.
For sure. So you were saying, okay, so then when you were coming up in Fall River, were you hustling? Did like after school, what did you do for a living? Was it straight to the
Okay,
army?
dude. Oh, that's no, dude. I actually kind of joined in I joined in my 20s. So
Oh yeah.
and I joined the Navy. I joined the United States Navy. So
Hey.
I was a regular dude like everybody else, bro. You know, I went to
Yeah.
a vocational school called Diamond, Diman.
Yeah.
And you know Emerald Lagasse? Have you heard of that dude?
What's that?
You know the cook, Emerald Lagasse?
Agassi. I think so, man.
Lagasse. Lagasse,
I
the Emerald. He's a cook. He's a famous
yeah.
cook. His name is Emerald Lagasse.
Okay.
He lives in New Orleans now. He's a very famous cook.
All
He's
right.
from Fall River, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I'm very proud of being from Fall River for many different reasons.
That's
So
good, man.
growing up in Fall River, I used to love pro wrestling, and I
Yeah.
wanted to go be a pro wrestler when I was a young boy. And you know, I actually got to live out that dream for a few years, and I did, you know, independent style pro wrestling in the
In
New
the region?
England
Yeah.
area. I'm 40 something years old. I'm 44
Yeah.
years old. I feel like every 10 years or so, I shed some skin and I become a whole different person. I've had like 4 lives in my 44 years. You know what I'm saying? This
I
is my
feel the
newest
same way.
one when I took my wife and my cats to Portugal is my most recent one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel the same way, brother.
So I did that. I went to a vocational school because my dad, you know, being Portuguese and all, he's like, I don't have money for college and
Yeah.
I don't know how you're gonna go do that. So you better pick up a trade. So you go into the vocational high school. So I
Yeah.
did, and I picked up plumbing.
All
And
right.
I don't look like a plumber. And I'm not really a good one either because I never became a plumber, you know. I
Hey,
have a few
there's
minor
money there.
skills I could do around my own place, but I would never like, you know, trust myself
Yeah.
working on somebody's house. So I did that, and then, I did retail. I managed, Blockbuster Video in the neighboring town, you know, I
Blockbuster.
did some retail.
How long
I
ago
got
was
into
that?
oh, man, that was in the, late '90s because I graduated in '99, and, that was early 2000s, you know.
Yeah.
NSYNC was popping at that time, Backstreet Boys.
And think is
That was a
actually
different life, man, you know, that was a different
oh
life
yeah, oh
back
yeah.
then. So I
That was
did
like
that, and
25
then,
years ago.
what was that?
It was probably like 25 years ago.
Time flies. You don't even realize that 20 years was that. And I'm like, where did
Oh
that
yeah.
go, dude? It flew by. I
Right, right.
around that time too, before I joined the military, the housing bubble was like about to burst in the US
All
and
right.
like, you know, mortgages were like kind of up and down, you know. So I
Yeah,
did mortgages for a little while and it got me nowhere. So
yeah.
eventually I ended up joining the United States Navy and I did 10 years there and I got out and then
10 years. What what uh what what position does that grant you? 10 years, like a sergeant or something? What is that?
well, no, it's all based on, there was, you know, the Navy has it based on a test you would take.
All right.
So, you know, you would go into boot camp and depending on how well you did, you could advance
Yeah,
in grade, in, rank. And then you
yeah,
would start your career off a little bit higher than some of the others if you did good in boot camp. But then you would have
yeah,
to take a test usually to get the next pay grade, or they would have to really, really like you. Like you have to be a stellar sailor, and they
yeah.
could advance you on the spot. Which actually, being stellar me, I got advanced twice. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
actually hey, but it's not fair because you got the Lusitano genes in you, right? Like we
Yeah,
discovered
yeah,
everything here, man.
yeah, man. It's so true. I never met another I coming from Massachusetts and Fall
Yeah,
River, all I knew was Portuguese people. When I
yeah,
joined the
yeah,
military, you never meet another Portuguese person. I met another guy with the last name Silva in the Navy, and he was
yeah,
not Portuguese. And I'm like, bro,
yeah,
how did you get such a good last name if you're not Portuguese?
yeah,
And I believe he was Venezuelan. And now I
yeah.
live in Portugal, and I see how many Portuguese migrated over to Venezuela back in the
Yes,
day.
that's what I was gonna
So
say. He
it
could
all
be
makes
Portuguese
sense.
without knowing. Yeah,
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize
yeah.
that.
There's like 500,000 of Portuguese in Venezuela, so he
I
could have been.
didn't know
He
that.
could be without knowing. He could just know he's from Venezuela and not know the backstory. But yeah,
Right. And let me tell you something about that, dude. If you drive around, especially these small towns, because I live in the cut in Portugal, I'm out in the countryside, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You drive around these small towns, they'll have like tile of like a design of like a guy on a horse, and it'll be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Venezuela's like president back in the day, and they paid
yeah,
like respect to him because they made a ton of money there, and they came back to
yeah,
Portugal.
yeah, yeah.
It's
See,
how I'm
yeah.
understanding it.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, I was because it's interesting. Like my son, he so like in grade 11 or 12, they could do a whole semester. They have like this military this whole reserve course. Like you do the whole reserve course through the semester of school. It's a cool program they have. So he did that last year. So he's still with them. He's like a reservist in the
Oh,
Canadian
that's
Armed.
cool. Yeah, they do something like that in the States as well. It's called like
Yeah,
junior ROTC or stuff like that. That's actually really cool. It usually takes a like a retired guy that was in the military, and he or she would be the
organize.
instructor for these
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
boys and
Yeah.
girls.
It's cool because like now, like he's still in school, but like on the weekends they go out. Like this weekend, he went, I don't know, 3, 4 hours away. They're sleeping in the snow in some tents. It's they're having unique experiences. It's really cool, man. I wish I
Is
had that
that
opportunity when I was in school.
exactly? I would have loved to have that as a kid, like as an adventures. Oh man, that'd be so cool. And it keeps them like valuing things around them. Like they got to go hang out in the snow for 3 days or whatever. So it
Oh
makes them like more like I guess like not saying toughen, but it gets them out there
yeah,
instead of being
no, it's
behind a
good, man.
screen all
They
the
need
time.
it, man.
You're
Especially
working with
this
Mother
one.
Nature. It's called drill, right? They
Oh yeah,
go, they do cadence. They got to make sure the uniforms are tight because
oh
they got to
yeah,
look. There's a reason for all that, right?
oh yeah, for sure, man. I love it, man. I love seeing it, and I and
Yeah,
I
it's
and I love the fact that he enjoys it. So it's good, man.
that's even better, dude. Because some people are forced into it and they really don't like it.
But yeah, in his course, he said like there was just one guy who like shortly after it being into it, he quit. And so, but the rest of the guys finished the course, and
It
most of
happens a
them,
lot, dude. It happens
yeah,
quite a lot. Yeah,
yeah. So because of this whole Navy career and wrestling, you've always been into this fitness thing too, right?
that's correct. Yes, I've always been into fitness very much. And I've always wanted to be a personal trainer too. So I
Yeah,
never got to do it because I was in the Navy, and then I got out and I ended up working as a civilian for the government back in the
yeah,
US. And but it was then that I realized, I got to stop doing what other people always want me to do. I want to be a personal trainer. Oh, and by the way, I want to finish my degree in exercise
yeah.
science. So I'm going to do that. And I decided to take that step, and I decided to do it. And
Nice.
I became a personal trainer. I finished my bachelor's in exercise science, and I opened up a small, online fitness coaching business that I
Hmm.
work with clients as well, and I help them reach their fitness goals.
That's cool, but you don't really like you do the fitness things and you put like tips on your social media, but you don't really publicize like that venue of yours too much, right? Like it's
I
almost like
do it
it's
in a
not easy to
different.
find.
It's like a different world because I don't want to. I see you notice that I sometimes do like here's what I ate today, and it'll be like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Portuguese bull. It'll be like 65 grams, and it's got 220 calories, right?
Oh yeah,
I bring a little bit of my fitness into it to just kind of give the my supporters
yeah,
a taste of who Louis Silva is behind the
yeah.
scenes. You know what I mean? I don't want to shove it down their throat all the time that I'm this fitness instructor because it's not a fitness page. You know what I'm saying? It's me living my life in Portugal, trying different foods, enjoying traditions, trying to get better on my Portuguese accent since I sound heavily Açorian, which I actually love very much.
Hey, you
Things of
gotta
that
be
nature.
proud of who you are. That's it, man.
What
Yeah.
was that?
You gotta be proud of what you are and how you are.
I
That's it,
am.
man. Like you got
I
that
really
accent
am.
for
I
you
really am.
too. In the States, it's the same. If you go to California or whatever, you have your Boston accent. It's cool. It makes you unique. So
Dude, it always made me unique when I was in the military because, we
right.
deploy, we travel, even in being in Virginia, stationed in Virginia, everybody would either have a nickname for me like Boston or just call me Louie because how many Louis do you know, right?
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
unique. And I guess the Louis fits the Boston accent too. Something you don't realize is like, you don't see a
yeah,
guy
yeah.
from the Midwest named Louis, really. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure, man. So when you were in the Navy, though, did you because of the fact like with the ships and being in the seas, and then with your background, have you ever like looked into like how the Portuguese discoveries went about and so on?
I did actually, and once I joined the Navy, I got really into that actually. So that
Yeah.
was like even before I joined the Navy, I started looking into that because I was so fascinated
Yeah, yeah.
as to how the Portuguese were the pioneers
That's
for
right.
everything
The
really. I mean,
even
they
the first
discovered
Navy.
so many different things, and it's so fascinating to be a part of that, right? But
Yeah.
me, I cannot go anywhere without using GPS, bro. I need my wife to be my navigator, and she's not Portuguese. I am. So I
That
don't know
is
why I can't navigate my way out of, down the road. But
we get used to these new things. When I used to live in Portugal, my mom sometimes would tell me, "You got to go there." I said, "Okay, how do I get there?" You go down this road, you make a left on the pink house, and then you go down, you got a big curve to the left, and then when you get to the greenhouse, you make a right, and then like she knew everything off by heart, you know.
yeah, yep.
I could never memorize stuff like that.
And she's like, "Tá ouvindo?" And you're like, trying to think like 5 steps back because you already forgot what she
Yeah.
said the first 2 steps.
So then, yeah. So then, with the fitness thing, though, like, how do people reach out to you, though? Like, do you have another site that could help you funnel clients to there or something? Like, do you have somewhere where you can garnish more clients?
So I
Like,
do. I have a separate Instagram that I work with.
okay, nice.
With that, it's called Pioneer Fit because
Okay.
relating pioneer to Portuguese because the Portuguese were the pioneers of finding
Yeah, yeah.
new way, right? So Pioneer Fit will find you new health and new fitness.
Nice.
So I do that on the side, and that's my side hustle. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
how.
Hey, but
And I have I reach out to clients usually through email. I have some clientele that I work with, which I used to train in person with when I was
yeah.
back in the States. So I built some clientele from that way, and I built some clientele from the Navy as well. Because after I got out of the Navy and I worked for the government doing some stuff, and then I became a fitness trainer and I worked for the government as a fitness coordinator. So I was in
Mhm.
charge of making these Navy cats, exercise and make sure they had
Yeah.
good nutrition plans and all that good stuff. So I actually ended up getting some clientele from that as well.
Nice.
So that's how it's kind of organically. It's kind of word of
Oh, okay.
mouth.
Yeah, more word of mouth, and mostly
But if
through
anybody's ever interested, I'm right here and I can
that's
absolutely help
it.
them with their goals and their nutrition. And I can show Mari Pacheco not every day and still maintain a badass
Man,
six pack at this
that's
age.
it. No, because that's it. Because like, okay, you're from the States, so most of your clients are probably from there. But like, there's a ton of Portuguese immigrant stuff. You see, there's Portuguese social media accounts. I forget some of their names, but like they have a lot of clients from Canada, from the US, from then those richer countries in Europe, like Switzerland. They get those clients. They make a little more money and they're willing to invest. So if you're online, maybe you can reach some of those for yourself.
Yeah, people don't even realize that sometimes online fitness is a thing and you can
Oh yeah.
absolutely help somebody achieve their goals through online
Right.
fitness. I had a gentleman who I used to train in person, and he reached out, he came to me, this was last year, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I would like your help." And I made him I have an app, right? I have an app. So I
Yeah.
designed him a whole workout plan. I interview him
Yeah.
all this is done via online and like WhatsApp and all that good stuff. So I give him a basic, interview, ask him what his goals are, all that good stuff, get his measurements, and he tells me. And then I just devise a plan
Yeah.
tailored to his lifestyle. So he could
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
5 days a week of working out, and you figure out how many calories he's got to take and he can track it all in the app. And he did. And in 7, 8 weeks, this dude started ripping up and he started shedding fat, something he told me he's never done before. So, over the time, we built a nice little slideshow of like how he started as like a dad bod, and then he came out all the way down as like a little jack
Yeah.
stud because he was short of dude. So he's just like stacked and ripped. So it is
That's it.
possible. It's all up to you and how much work you're going to put into it. I could give you
Oh,
the
for sure.
blueprint, but if you don't utilize it, how is it ever going to come into fruition, right?
For sure, man. And now it's especially even in Portugal, the culture is growing so much. Like you see people going on their morning walks, bike rides. They go to the gym for every purpose. Like 25 years ago, like 25, 28 years ago when I started, like the gym was maybe like 70% of guys wanted to like bench heavy, you know,
Yeah,
wanted to
totally, bro.
bench heavy and like get big, right? They were
It
always
was a
looking at
different culture.
the scale to see how much weight they gained,
It was a different 20 years ago, right? I was looking at bodybuilding magazines when I was back in the
Yeah.
States because that was what I thought I was gonna do, right? But now I've accepted the fact that I'm 5'10" and my stature is that of a natural athletic man and not some big, which is nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. It's just I don't wanna enhance that. I don't wanna
Yeah.
ruin any, like, give my heart any issues that I don't really need, if you know what I'm
There
saying.
are some guys that appear to have done it gracefully, like Dorian Yates. He went off of it. Now he's into yoga. He looks good, you know. But
Yep.
some guys, like you see Ronnie Coleman, I met him like 8 or 9 years ago or something. He was already not looking good. Like, and now it's even
Why?
worse. You know, they go too heavy. Those
The
backs, the hips,
drugs,
they can't support
they
it. The
take
drugs, everything. Yeah, yeah.
everything. It takes a toll on you, you know, and you have to really decide if you wanna take that route and do that life, and if you
Right.
do, don't let anybody stop you. You do it because that's what you wanna do. They know the repercussions that are gonna come
I
down the
know.
line, you know
I
what I
know.
mean? Because they hear it, people tell them, so they know what they're getting themselves into. It's your life, live it however you want it, you know what I'm saying?
But they used to live in a generation that they didn't have social media. So like they would do like a magazine shoot 2 or 3 times a year. They would get jacked for that and they would get jacked for the events. But they would go off. Like you would see
Yeah,
Arnold in his peak. Like in his peak off season, he would look like a regular gym goer. Then you would get back on, he would be big.
yep,
Nowadays, because of the pressure of social media, you always gotta be posting, you always
yep.
gotta be jacked. Now these
You always
guys
gotta
are
be looking
flying
good.
left and right. Yeah. Too much
Remember, you know who was
growth.
notorious for that? Was bodybuilder Lee Priest.
Oh yeah.
That dude would gain, like, over 300 pounds, right? And he would just look like a ball of blob, and he
And
would
he's a
eat
midget.
everything. They all did in that era. And then,
Yeah,
you know, 16 weeks, dude shredded down like you can't
yeah,
even like there's
yeah.
0 fat on this dude.
Silver's big.
Monstrous,
That
bro.
that position that guy has with the arms over his head, those biceps, man. That guy's physique is phenomenal.
Some
And I like his
physiques
personality.
some physiques are built to
Oh
be
yeah.
big. Like, he was short and, like, he had, like,
Yeah,
shorter
yeah.
arms, you know, he would very,
And
very,
then if
like
you have the trick about bodybuilding too genetically, you have to have small joints, right? So that the rest looks bigger, right? Like
right,
when the muscle's leaving the wrist and it starts to get thicker, then it looks like it's even bigger, right? Than
right.
if the wrist is really thick, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly, dude.
there's a genetic factor to it for sure, man. All
I
right.
got really long arms, dude, mine are like orangutan arms. It takes forever to make them look like anything, dude.
It's okay. You're gonna age gracefully, and some of those guys that can't say the same.
Let's keep doing it, bro. Look at we
All
got a
right.
guest. Her name is Chloe.
Oh yeah, Chloe. Ah, she's very elegant. Very
She
elegant.
is. She knows she is. She's a
Okay,
little Portuguese
talking about
princess.
the the females. How did you meet your wife?
I met my wife at a I was working I got out of the military and I moved back to Virginia and I started working at what we have a shipyard in Virginia because where I lived in Virginia, it was called Norfolk, the area,
All
and
right.
it's one of the largest shipping ports in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked at the shipyard there doing some work.
Yeah.
And I started working with my wife and we were just friends and we worked together for a year. And then we both had gotten out of some bad relationships
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to take it a step further and we became lovers. And then
That's
we
it.
still worked together, but we ended up moving to like a different department. We ended
Yeah.
up working together, and then that shortly after that, we moved back to where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
Massachusetts, and a couple of years after that, we are here in Portugal.
Man. So yeah. So I've seen you explain before. So like it was basically a colleague of yours that told you like, hey, pa, why don't you think about Portugal, right?
Oh yeah, that's cool, Steve. Thanks for paying attention, bro. I really appreciate that,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Yes, I'll tell that story real quick. I was at work, and my wife worked in the other office, and she was on the other side. So it was me and my coworker Greg, and he's very country, and he was
Yeah.
he was looking something up, and he was like, "Hey, you're Portuguese, aren't you?" And he turns around and looks at me, and I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You know, when you retire, you should think about moving to Portugal." And I was like,
Yeah.
I never thought of that, dude. You know, I was like, my parents moved from Portugal and the Açores
Yeah.
to America to have a better life, right?
Yeah.
And now, you know, you look at how life has been going over the last few years in so many
Oh,
places, and you're like,
oh,
that is no longer what I was told was how it was supposed to be. It's a lot different than what we expected it to be, you know? And I'm not just even talking about any recent events. Like we've had this passion, this dream for 4 years before
yeah.
anything got super. It was already crazy enough. You know what I'm saying? So um I went to her and I was like, hey babe, Greg just gave me just said, you know, like I should think about retiring in Portugal. And I'm thinking like, you know, if I you know, that's like when I'm 50 something, because you know, you could
Yeah.
combine your military time with working with the government, and you can retire a few years earlier, some stuff like that. And I'm thinking like 56, maybe, whatever. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. So then my wife and I get together again, and I'm like, how can we make that happen even sooner? You know what I mean? And that's when the manifesting started going on. And that's when we started downsizing, and this didn't happen overnight. Like I said, Steve, this happened, you know, in the course of 4 years.
Mhm. And you know, your wife was down to it. So she wanted to move to Europe, would you say?
She had always had a dream about moving to Europe when she was, younger, and before I had started working with her, she had gotten an opportunity to go do through the government, to go do a job in Germany as, like, an
Yeah.
intern for, like, 6 months. And she was prepping for that. She went to start getting the paperwork done, and then the job got pulled, and she was no longer, you know, part of that.
Yeah.
You know, years later, enter Louie F and Silva. She's living in Europe now.
That's it. Okay, so you were saying you guys started preparing for it and downsizing. Usually what you see online, like Portugal is full of American expats now, right? A lot of them from California and whatnot. Like it has a lot of them. Not only Americans, but a lot of Americans. It definitely grew huge, especially the last 4 or 5 years. But like I know obviously Portugal is cheaper to live in than in America. Yes. But if you were to move like 10 years ago, you could get everything like half price. Or even 5 or 6 years ago. Now everything is getting pretty expensive there too. So even for you guys to like move there, you still need like some money coming in to help pay for it. I don't want to know nothing about like what's in your pocket, nothing like that. But like, how do you guys go about it? Like, I think most people either like have a work at home job and pay for the bills, like, cause they can live abroad. Some people I know do like, some investment funds and then I don't know, say they manage to garnish, I don't know, I don't even know the math, but let's say $1 million and then they put it into a high paying dividend, maybe 6% or something. Like they'll get 60 grand. That's not enough a year. That's not enough to live in the States. But in Portugal, it's not bad, right? You can live a comfortable life like that. So is that something similar, like how you guys managed to go about it? Or what would you
So,
say?
like you were saying, Portugal is definitely has a different price range than
Yeah.
United States, Canada right now. And it's but I will not say that it's, you know, cheap by any means here in Portugal,
No, it's not anymore.
especially for the locals making, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
not a whole lot.
Oh yeah, for
Things
sure.
are getting very expensive here. Things getting
For
very
sure.
expensive here. My wife and I are on a budget, a tight budget every month.
Yeah.
And the way we fund us is through my online fitness coaching
All
business.
right.
So we have that. I will say this, I was not given anything, anything. Some people might look at me and be like, "Oh, it must be nice, must be nice." It is nice. It's nice to work for your own hard
Your goal.
work and
Oh
get
yeah.
these goals accomplished. It is very nice, yes. Well, you know what's even nicer? Not having it given to you, not having it handed to you. And, you know, God bless you if it is. Absolutely,
Mhm.
because I'd like for that to happen to me too, you know what I'm saying?
For sure,
But
man.
I can tell you this, man, I did not come here with any hand-me-outs. I saved, I downsized. You know, I'm 24 years old. I've
Yeah.
owned a house or 2 or 3 in the
Yeah,
US.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
sold them. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've
I
lived a
know.
life.
Yeah,
You
for
know what I
sure, man.
mean?
For
So,
sure.
like,
No,
I've
I
built
know how
this.
it is. Hey, like there's one thing I've noticed. There's a trend. Like Portugal is an amazing country, but it's especially amazing if you're used to living on like if you're not too ambitious and like if the more ambitious you are and the more you want to work and hustle, it's almost like you're frowned upon in Portugal. People look at you sideways like, hey, you want everything for you, like, because they're not used to that mentality, right? So all the immigrants know what it's about. When you go to these countries, you hustle, you work hard for what you have. You know, no one leaves to go to a more expensive country with money. They go there to make money. So of course you're living on your own merits. That's it,
Start a
man.
better life. We all
Oh
want to
yeah.
start a better life somewhere. And if we have the means to do it in a way and we can go and start it somewhere else, and if that's what you want to do, I say absolutely go for it.
Oh,
My parents left Portuguese territory to go start a better life. And that to them was a better life than being
yeah.
in Agua Torta in San Miguel for my dad,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So you can't fault anybody for doing that.
No, for sure, man.
And
For
like you
sure.
said, we want to come here. So here's the difference though. Some people, I will say this, bro. A lot of immigrants come here from
Yeah.
America and Canada, and they will be the ones, and I'm not trying to talk about anybody, but
Yeah, yeah.
the hustle is different, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
I want to get to know the culture. I want to
Yeah.
I want to be one with these people. I want to be one. Submerge yourself in Portuguese, right? I'm in
Yeah.
Portugal, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people come here and they don't want to do that. Some people come in, they want to go to a little community where they all speak the same, where they all have
Yeah.
the same things in common, you know,
Yeah.
and that's great. That's great for your mental health, and maybe you needed that. But I choose the other part of it.
Hey, but kudos to you and your wife too, because your wife, like, she's not Portuguese, and she's hustling. She's trying to learn the language. She's graceful everywhere she goes.
It's
Like
great.
that's the type of
Fantastic.
immigrant that no one will ever criticize. Everyone loves that type. Like when you have a foreigner comes to your country and respects the country, respects the place, the food, the culture, the tradition, the language. What can you ask for more? Like that, no one will complain
Dude,
about that.
exactly, and we get a lot of great, so much kindness from all our amigos. They give us so much. They shower us with kindness so much. You're doing so great with your Portuguese. Your wife's doing amazing with your Portuguese. You guys, you know, have a great life here in Portugal. I welcome, you know, people like you that are trying hard and that are trying to submerge yourselves in the culture. What great kindness we receive from so many people. The good certainly outweighs the bad. Every now and then you get a
Oh
bad
yeah.
apple in there. It
Oh
was
yeah.
just, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
that's everywhere, dude. You get a bad
Hey,
apple everywhere.
there's a lot
And you
of
know,
negativity in Portugal too.
it's taught me to be like, I hope you can find kindness in your heart.
I like it.
You know, it's taught me to be like, damn, that person, if I was feeling that way, what would I be battling internally? You try and kind of like step back and be like, why is that person feeling that way? You know? So,
Yeah. No, that's good, man. How about between you and your wife? Who's the romantic one?
wow, that's a fun question, dude. Who's the romantic one? That's fun. Hey, babe, who's more romantic, me or you? Me, yeah! You heard it from the
I
horse's
was
mouth. She said me.
Hey, based off of that reel you made the other day, I would say you're the more spicy one too, man. I
Which one
love
was
that
that?
reel.
Oh, the one with the shooties, bro.
Yeah, I love that one. With the robe, with the sexy robe, with the reveal, and then it's the chorizo, the cheese.
You didn't expect that, did you, dude? I don't think,
That was nice.
dude, that video has hit 1.1 million views on Instagram, and I'm so
Yeah,
happy. That
man.
was my first million view
Video.
reel, and I was
Yeah.
so happy about it. What
No,
a
but
fun video to make.
yeah, because that whole robe reveal thing is a thing, right? But you added that unique old school Portuguese chorizo stuff. Like it was really cool,
Yep.
really neat.
Portuguese edition seducement.
You guys have any kids or any plans for that or not really?
We don't have any kids. We have 3
Yeah.
cats, which we classify
Yeah.
as our kids. They cost pretty much just as much, in my opinion, but we do plan on having kids. In fact,
Yeah.
Morgan just did a recent video on that
Oh
explained
yeah.
we had a
I didn't
miscarriage
see
in
that one.
September. We got over that.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, I say we got over that. We've moved on from that.
Already.
We thought we were pregnant again just
Oh yeah.
recently, and we were like, okay. And then so we ended up getting maternity insurance.
Okay.
That way, we have a plan of trying
Yeah. Yeah.
to have a baby again next year when that insurance kicks in, because it takes a full year for that insurance to kick in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That way, we're not left in the dark with any surprises or bills that we can't afford down the line, things of that nature.
We got to work on that though, because we need the a couple of good ones coming up.
You know,
You know?
I'm 44 years old, right? And my wife, there's obviously an age difference there. She's 13 years younger than me.
Yeah.
But I still got it.
That's it, man. You got it. She's still in perfect timing for it. Hey, I just so look, I had my last kid 5 years ago. I'm 43. My wife was she was like 38, and she we had it.
Can I ask if you guys had any issues?
So this last pregnancy was the worst out of all of them. But yeah, we went through it. So
Yeah.
I have 3 kids with my wife, and then I have an older daughter with my ex-wife, and she's the older. She's already 26, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. So my daughter actually gave me a grandkid already.
You're a granddad. You're younger than me by a
Yeah,
year, bro, and you're a
I know,
grandfather.
but
That's cool,
hey, but
man.
it's the best. It's just horrible that unfortunately now she's living in Belgium, so it makes it hard. Like I've been with him
Oh,
already
wow.
after he was born. He's 2 years old, but like I'm planning on going this summer. I'm trying to meet him again. It's hopefully or either I go to Portugal. Hopefully she can come here. But aside from that, yeah, man, that's how it
I hope you
is.
get to, bro.
Oh yeah. No, for sure, man. Everything is good with her. I love her dearly and him. Everything is our relationship is perfect. So there's no issues there. It's
That's
just a
great.
matter of different lives now because now like I'm here, she's there. It makes it harder, right?
Yep.
So how about okay, you guys went to Portugal. How was like that first date? Like did you guys already have a plan like where you were gonna stay? How did that work out? Do you
When
have,
we
like,
moved
did you
here,
with a relative or something?
when we moved,
Yeah, to Portugal, yeah.
no, dude. We once I got my citizenship, we started acting quick, and I
Yeah,
was in a position at work where I no longer wanted to be there. And I said, babe, I think I don't want to work here anymore. And she said, if I could find us an apartment in Portugal, do you want to move sooner than later? Because we were planning on
yeah.
like mid 2025. So like we weren't planning on moving here like June 2025, but we moved here in February 2025. She was like, if I could find an apartment, would you do it? And I was, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. So it took like, 3 hours, and
Yeah,
somebody on Facebook groups, on a Facebook group that we were
yeah.
part of, reached out to us and said, hey, I have an apartment here in well, first it was like we had nobody. No, we didn't.
Yeah,
So we set up the apartment, and we had no idea where we were going to live before we set this up because we originally wanted to move to San Miguel, and
alright.
the housing was limited there. So I
Okay.
was like, "Hey, Morgan, why don't we try moving to the mainland? I know it's
Yeah.
overwhelming, but we know my mom is from Vidigueira, so we know kind of, and we hadn't been there. I hadn't been there since 2013, and Morgan had never been to the mainland. She had only been to San Miguel with me twice.
Yeah.
So Morgan had a tutor, a language tutor, she lives in Lisboa, and
Yeah.
Morgan was using her in the States to learn
Yeah.
Portuguese. And then she had asked her tutor, hey, if you could move again, where would you move? And her tutor said, I would move to Avade. And Morgan was
Oh,
like, all right, that's where I'll look. And then she put if anybody's got an apartment in Avade, let us know because we're trying to move there, around this time. And then somebody reached back out to us and was like, hey, I got an apartment right by a Vero University, and it's
uh-huh.
this, and that. And we were like, okay, we'll take it. And we did everything through like WhatsApp, and we had a place secured. And we got here on February 10th. We drove, we sold everything, bro. The
No turning
car,
back.
like I had my 2012 Toyota Tacoma that I loved so much. It was so hard to let her go. And I let her go. I had to. We sold our cars, everything. And it's crazy, man. You sell everything, you get rid of everything. We packed our entire lives into 13 bags and totes and our 3 cats. And we drove to New Jersey with a rental, and we flew out of New Jersey at midnight, and we landed in Portugal, in Port, the next day to start our lives. And it's like, wow,
It's
crazy,
funny.
bro.
It's funny that you mentioned you're from Madrid because, like here, like I was saying, I would figure maybe 80, 70% are from the islands. But the ones that, like the mainlanders that I personally know in this area, in the GTA, I feel like half of them are from Madrid or something. Man. There's a huge Madrid community here.
No kidding. There's a ton of people from Canada that visit Avid every year, and I met a
Yeah,
bunch of
so
them last
exciting,
year
man.
because
Yeah,
they would recognize me from my videos, and they'd be like, "Hey,
yeah,
what's
yeah,
up? We're from Canada." I'm like, "Oh, it's so cool." I didn't realize how many
yeah,
Canadians came here. I have two friends that they're both Canadian and they
yeah.
live here.
They live there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they moved here like 4 or 5 years ago, both of them.
So now that you're already living in Portugal for a full year, and you've got a chance to travel a bit the country, no?
A little bit, nothing crazy, but a little bit.
But like, how far south have you gone?
South. We haven't gone to the Algarve yet. We went to the Alentejo.
Alentejo, because that's where you're from. So yeah, for sure.
That's not why I went, but we went because we stayed at this estate and we did a collab with them. We stayed there at Montes Lage.
Okay.
It was beautiful. So we spent 4 days there for my birthday. And it was lovely. It was dry. It was very even more country than this, you know. It was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, for sure. Alentejo
Yeah.
for sure. Oh, yeah. How about have you like those famous spots that have been trendy nowadays, like those big waves, Nazaré? Have you?
Not yet,
No,
bro.
no.
Nope, nope. Everybody talks about them, but we stayed kind of local to the beaches here, meaning like
Yeah,
Praia de Vegueira,
yeah.
Costa Rica, Costa Nova Praia, Costa Rica, Co-
It's
Costa
a
Nova. Those are the popular ones here by us.
yeah.
They're about 25 minutes from us, and they're lovely. They're lovely beaches, and people really, really, really get a good. People really speak highly of
Because I
these
was going to
beaches. It
ask
was
you,
so.
you've been there for a year already, so I was going to ask you like, with what you've seen, do you think you're going to settle with that bit, or is there anywhere else that you feel like, oh, I like that area too?
No, we're definitely open to change, bro, because eventually we're gonna buy a house here. You know, we try
Yeah,
to manifest everything to our lives, and we're like, when we buy a house here, when we buy
yeah,
a house here. So when we buy a house here, we are absolutely open to another place besides a vid.
yeah.
I don't really care. I just don't want to really live in a busy city. I don't like city life. Growing up in a
Let me
city,
give
I
you.
don't really want to. We lived in the city when we first got here to Avid, and it was a lot. It was very, very busy. It was noisy. We lived in a big apartment complex right by the university, and it was
Can I
just
give
not
you?
what I was not
Can
what
I
I
give
was
you?
thinking, not the life I had come here to do. You know,
Can I give you Portugal's best kept secret?
let's
You
hear
gotta
it.
look into. You gotta look into the Lidia area. It's
Is that what
beautiful,
it
man.
is?
It's a. It's so it's not on the coast. It's like a 25-minute drive to our beaches, right? But it's
Yep.
a major city of the district. It's the major city. But when you look at it, you can't see it all because it all evolves around the castle, right? So it's not like you can see the whole landscape in one glance. But it's like a big and small city at the same time. It's like a massive town, but it's beautiful. It's romantic. Then you got everything close by. You're with a 30-minute drive. You're in Nazaré. You're in São Pedro de Moel. You're in Batalha. You're in Porto. You're in Albage, Caldas da Rainha. You're close to Alcobaça. You're close to
Wow.
major spots, but to go, like if you guys are going to have a family coming up, kids and whatever, I think it's like it's an amazing city because it's not too touristically. Like tourists will go to Fatima, they'll go to
Mhm.
Nazareth. Lady itself isn't, so it doesn't get that type of influx of busyness, but it has everything there. I'm just saying, just give it a
I've heard a
look.
lot of good things about it. Actually, people have told me that they retired there. So they say
Yeah,
like they come here. There's like Canadians that come here, and they were just telling me
yeah.
the other day that their two
Give it a
friends
look.
that are
Look
retired
it
here.
up. It's amazing, man. It's amazing, and it's not too known. It's not like it's not too known, but it's definitely like a major, a small major city. It's like it's in
It's like a
between.
hidden gem.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Cool.
All right, what else we got here? Let's go for a couple of rapid fire questions.
All right, let's try 'em.
Just a few of them. All right, pastel de nata or Boston cream?
Pastel de nata.
Even with that Boston accent, eh?
Yeah, I've gotten hooked to them, bro.
No,
Pretty
it's
addictive.
great. Uh, a beach day or city wandering?
Beach day,
Beach day. All
totally.
right. Sunset or sunrise in Portugal?
Sunset with pizza.
To a pizza. All right, one more. I don't know if you're a beer guy or not.
Let's hear it.
Super block or Sagres?
Sagres.
Sagres? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have them both.
People will
Man.
argue that and they'll say Superbot, but you know what? I'm staying true.
You're staying true to it? That's it. If
For
you
the
have
year.
if it's your preference, that's it, man.
Yeah, so I'll have them both, honestly, really. I won't really judge, but if you're gonna ask me if I want one, I'm gonna ask for the Sagres, you know.
Yeah. So have you always been a coffee guy? You drink a ton of espresso. So do I. I'm one of those guys too. But in the States, did you have espressos or was it like the regular coffee type of thing?
Regular coffee, like especially as I joined the Navy, and we would be like
Right.
sometimes deployed, and we would drink a lot of coffee, and it was garbage coffee because it's like
Yeah.
water, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like you get kind of immune to just drinking coffee at any time of the day. So I always love to have a cup of coffee with me, always, 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 always. So coming here, perfect. But here, the coffee got weak in the U.S. I'm going to tell you that because I would go to a
Yeah.
coffee shop and I paid like $8 for a coffee that's watered down, and they spell my name wrong and write it down. You know what I'm saying? They'll put it like
What?
Lewis, Lewis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here, I can get a nice butternut she. I love a good
Yeah.
butternut. It's just
Yeah.
Americano.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just enough, and I get it in this perfect little mug. It doesn't matter what it says on it. If it's Sikal, if it's Buandi, if it's
Yeah.
Delta, I love the little mug, the little Kaneka, and just the act of it. Sitting in a cafe, there is nothing that can replicate that, especially when you're here doing it.
Because you guys have like your espresso machine. It puts mine to shame, man. I got one of those those capsule ones. Yours you look like you run a coffee shop, man.
Yeah, one of the first things that was one of our first purchases here. So, you got to
Yeah.
think we sold all our stuff in the States, right? Again, we were working with that money that we sold everything. So I'm like, I'm going to buy a coffee machine here, but I'm not. Morgan doesn't like to use pods because she
Yeah.
feels like they're wasteful. So we're like, let's buy a real coffee machine then, a Portuguese style, as much as we can. They had some big boys that would make you like a whole like table of coffee. And I really wanted that just because, but I'm like, you really don't need that. Just get this one. And oh man, every day I use that thing religiously every day. My story every day, I started with a good quote, a motivation of some sort.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
making a coffee from one angle or another.
So now you've been there already for a year. What is how has living in Portugal changed the way you see life? Because you come from like that American lifestyle. So how would you say it's changed the way you see life?
I think that's a really good question, bro, because so much has changed. It's amazing how much you can grow in 1 year if you allow yourself to. I feel like this is actually a very important thing because I feel like a lot of people don't ask these questions and people just look to, they always are thinking like, if I do this, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. They always think it's going to be greener on the other side, right? Until they get to the other side and then they realize, oh shit, it doesn't stop here. My problems don't go away. They still continue, right? Moving here, however, has made me really reflect as much as I can. It's really, really made me try and stop and appreciate things that I took for so much granted in the US. Let me give you an example, right? Hot water. You always got some sort of big tank with hot water in the US. Here, you got a little Butano tank. And the longer the hot shower you take, the less Butano you're going to have. And that thing's got to get switched out 2.5 weeks. I took hot water for granted, right? That's one thing. Things that you need, things that you were so used to in the United States are definitely foreign here. And I mean, like your toothpaste. If you buy Sensodyne toothpaste in the US and then you buy it here, it's completely different. It does. I don't feel as it's strong enough. And that could be because, and I'm no dentist by any means, right? But that could be just because it has different chemicals, right? So everything is different. Everything is different. So I've learned to appreciate what I do have now. My windows are not like US style windows and they're old and they're made out of, this man made these out of wood, probably older than I am. You know what I'm saying? So things of that nature. There's no heat in this house, we take heat for granted in our house. If it's cold, if it's snowing, we crank that bad boy up and you sit there and you're walking around with like shorts and stuff in your house. Here, you got a robe, you got scarf, you got a long sleeve shirt, just things that we took for granted. So it's taught me that aspect, to respect Mother Nature more, to when they're doing the festa of the pork, that the bacon we ate yesterday, the shitties that we ate yesterday, that was from that porker, and
Yeah.
we are paying we're not going to waste any of it. We're going to eat it,
Right.
all of it, as much as we can, and we're going to pay respects to it. You see what I'm saying? We're in the States, you're desensitized to all that because they're just pumping animals full of hormones. You got this
Yeah.
big boy chicken. Here you got this little chicken, and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? It's a different, it's a different thing, right? It's a different thing. Other things, I made a video about this yesterday, and it's like the fact that if you stick to something in life, if you want something really, really hard in life, if you really, really, really want something and you stick with it, I know you've heard this a million times, but you can achieve anything you want. You've got to live as if you already living that life that you want. You see what I'm saying? My wife and I used to watch YouTube videos of walking tours in Portugal, and we were like, that's going to be us, and that's going to be us. And look at that, man. That is us. Because now we're actually putting it through our lens for you guys to see. You know what I'm saying? If that isn't a manifest in its whole right there, I don't know what it is, right? So I've learned that you will lose friends and family. I've learned that people that you thought wanted the best for you in life really don't want to see you do better than them, right? People are happy when you guys are matching on your level, right?
That's right.
As soon as you come a little bit more and you start doing your own thing and you start kind of going against their norm, not good enough for them. They're no longer talking to you. They're making up scenarios where you've pissed them off and this and that. You know what? Just take it as you outgrew those people and keep moving on. Keep moving, dude. I'm going to leave you with one more thing, dude. One more thing with that. You have to stop caring about how other people are doing in life. That's the one thing I learned here. And I don't mean like in a way as like, I'm going to stop caring about my parents, but in a way in like, why is that person doing better than me? Is that person doing better than me? What if that person, you have to stop. Who cares? There's enough money for all of us to go around, right?
I've always had that mentality.
Take that negative energy that you're putting towards why somebody's doing better than you, and you have to refocus that. We're all guilty of it, right?
I know.
All guilty of it. Bring it back, and you have to refocus on making you whatever you want it to do in this life. So those are my life lessons of 1 year here in Portugal. Appreciate everything in life because life is short, bro, and it can be taken from you any moment.
Words of wisdom. I appreciate that. I appreciate those tips.
Thanks, bro.
So that's almost a perfect way to end this, actually, because that's something. Okay, but before I let you go, I just want to ask you, how has the I think we started off with it that I said would come back. How has the storm hit you guys? Like, how was it in Navid?
Some parts of the vid got pretty got flooded. It was Stubble got flooded, which is it is different. It's not from where we are, but some parts luckily where we live, I don't know how these houses did it, but these houses, like this house that we live in, is probably over 100 years old, dude. Minor damage. There are houses that got their entire roofs ripped off. This house, as old and beat up as it looks, withstood 4 hurricane-style storms. And so did so many others. I mean, they're slabbed to death with concrete. That's why they're so cold. You know what I mean? But there was a lot of damage around us. We had a big tree fall on that side. We had some damage, a little damage done to the Quinta here, but nothing that some people faced here where they lost literally everything, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking.
I was telling you about my hometown, Lidia, but I think they probably got hit the worst. Like, and something no one could predict what happened to that region, but they got hit pretty bad. And then afterwards with the floods too, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's funny that you said nobody could predict because a ton of people tell me all the time, this is not normal. Like, this is not normal. Like, don't get scared of this, guys. This shouldn't happen all the time. And it's not that I'm getting scared. I mean, we're part of it too, right? We're here. We're trying to we're living through it. You know, like we're getting leaks in that. Just because the house isn't destroyed doesn't mean it's not leaking in places. Again, this thing is 100 years old, you know, and that much water in the ground coming at you from all angles because the wind is all crazy. The house is not used to that, so you're getting leaks in random places. You know what I'm saying? So you got buckets here, you got rags there. You're pulling out the not the washing machine, but the freaking dishwasher because it's leaking behind there. It's fun.
How do you grade the overall weather in Portugal? Which season do you like best?
So far, I like the summer the best because the summer here, at least where I'm at, because I know down in the Algarve it gets
Yeah,
hotter and the Alentejo. But where we're at, it's like perfect. I would say West Coast, United States West Coast weather here. Probably
yeah,
we had like 2 really hot days here where I live last year. It was probably like 92, and we don't have
yeah.
AC, we have fans, but 92, it really wasn't that bad because there's always a light breeze, there's always a light wind coming through. So this is actually for temperature. The winter right now is not bad at all. It is colder
No,
always in the house than it is outside. We've
no.
had a couple of cold days, but that's because it's a lot of chuva, a lot of vent. But on a normal day, you get like 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's chill weather.
The thing about Portugal too is like it usually gets hotter the more interior you go. Like Castelo Branco or Évora are like the hottest places in Portugal because they don't get so much of the ocean breeze, you know?
Makes perfect sense. The more you're
Yeah,
on the ocean, that dang wind is harsh, man. That thing is strong.
yeah. Louis, I can't tell you how much I appreciated this conversation. I've been following you guys for a while, and your whole energy is amazing. You and your
Thank you,
wife.
man.
So I hope all the success for both of you guys. Where where can you guys be found on social media? I obviously like Instagram is a big thing, but are you guys very active on TikTok and YouTube as well?
Yes, actually, we are. We're active, like you said, on Instagram and on TikTok and on YouTube. So on Instagram, you can find me at Louie in Portugal, and you can find
Yeah,
my wife at Morgan in Portugal.
yeah,
Same thing with TikTok, same exact Louie in Portugal, Morgan in Portugal.
yeah,
The YouTube is Morgan and Louie in Portugal YouTube channel. And that we put our shorts there, so we put our videos, and that's actually
yeah,
where our podcast goes as well. We have a
yeah.
podcast that we do every other Wednesday, and we talk
Mhm.
about, I think we're up on 13 episodes now. We talk about moving here, our struggles, moving our cats, how that was. We're going to talk about stuff like we have things lined up talking about purchasing vehicle. We talk about moving. We talk about our social media
Yeah.
happenings. We have a lot of good stuff on there.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, Louis. Hope you all the best. I wanna maybe if I go to Portugal in the summer, if I don't go this summer, I'll definitely go next summer. But if I go, maybe we can hang out for a little bit. You're not too far from me, just 90, 100 kilometers, not too bad.
I'm absolutely for it.
Yeah.
We can even do some sort of collab together, bro.
Or maybe you'll finally come to Nazaré or something. We'll have a drink at the beach.
I mean, it's eventually going to happen. If you're in
Yeah.
Portugal and you're close, we could definitely make it happen.
Louis, all the best to you and your wife, all right?
You too, my friend. Thank you very
All
much,
right.
bro.
Everybody go follow them. They're a great couple. They entertain us. They're genuine and very likable. Thank you guys very much. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and hit that like button below. Obrigado e até a próxima.